Hello, I'm Patricia Morris, Stillwater Central School District Superintendent. Welcome to our FAQ for the questions that you have posed to the district regarding reopening of schools in September. I felt it was important to do a little bit of a review of our reopening plan so that you understand the process that went into planning. Certainly you can go on our scsd.org website to see the full plan and review all of it in its entirety. From the beginning in March, when our schools closed down, our administrative team, our district staff followed the basic guiding principles to provide a safe place to work and learn upon returning, and to, in the spring, transport, educate, and feed our children. When school didn't reopen for us, we transitioned to a planning phase early in June as to what will school look like in September? What will we be allowed to do? Will we be together all at once in September when school resumes? And of course, we know now that the governor has said that we can reopen, but with social distancing in place and several safety protocols in place so that when we return, we are learning and working in a safe environment. Our plan components are multiple, but I wanted to do an overview of our planning process for you. Again, we started way back since this began as to an everyday item, things changed. When new executive orders came forward, when new guidance came out, we ensured that we were able to adjust and move and change accordingly so that our plan would be one that we could enact and we could certainly, not just in theory, put before you, but in practice. Our health and safety protocols are extensive. They cover everything from cleaning protocols to face masks to hand sanitizing, signage, and the like. So please review those in the plan in its entirety. Again, we followed the guidance, but we also ensured that we were considering each space in our buildings as they are unique, and each in the people that are coming to our buildings, both staff and students. Communication is so and critically important to this process. Opening up the reopening at scsd.org portal was important for us so that we could hear from you the questions you had so you can make a sound educational plan for choose a sound educational plan for your family and for your children. So if your questions are not answered here, we'll review some other ways that you can get your questions answered. And lastly, academic continuity. For many of you, you are, I'm sure, confident that the district will handle the health and safety protocols, as I am. But that academic continuity is different across our region. And again, our district took a very intentional approach, as all did, considering our building sizes, our spaces, our capital project that is currently going on, the number of students we have to educate, and the type of day we wanted to present to our students so that we could provide them with a day that is as normal as possible in the school environment. Our academic continuity plan is presented to you. Of course, a full capacity, at full capacity, that would be when everyone comes back to school in a normal school day that we're used to. We also had to present in our plan to the state a hybrid plan, which allowed for remote and in-person learning, and ultimately a remote learning plan if we did indeed need to shut the buildings down. So here's an overview of each of the buildings and what their learning plans are. Starting in September, on September 14th, our buildings will open. UPK through first grade, special education elementary students, and English language learners will be coming to school daily. Grades 2 through 5 will be on an A-B schedule in person, and those schedules will be sent out to you, and you'll know exactly what days of the week your child will be attending. There's an example of that in these slides. When students are not in the building in the elementary school, for grades 2 through 5, they'll be participating via Google Classroom in a learning lab model. At the middle school level, the hybrid learning is such that 6th grade is very similar to 2 through 5, except that on Wednesdays, that will be reserved for office hours, for additional small group instruction and for homebound student instruction for those students who choose to fully remote experience. In addition to that, those students will have online learning time throughout their day. 7th and 8th grade students have 2 days per week allocated to their grade level of in-person learning, with 2 days off-site for remote learning. Wednesdays will be reserved for virtual office hours and additional small group instruction. At the high school level, we do have a unique approach, and it was very intentional in this approach, so that when students come to school for their in-person learning, they're able to see their peers and their teachers and interact with one another in 80-minute block chunks of time. I don't want to call it a block because it's not a block schedule, but it's an 80-minute chunk of time for their core classes: English, social studies, science, and math. On the other days, they will have remote learning days, wherein they will have some live instruction and some video instruction, some live instruction, and they will take care of their special area and foreign language courses, and they will follow that schedule for the days of the week that they're not in session in school. Here are your FAQs that you presented to us. If you have noted, on our website, we already have an FAQ of questions that had come to the district through different administrators, and we thought it would be prudent to get those questions answered for you. We opened up the reopening at scsd.org portal so that you could ask additional questions and get them answered. In addition to that, we have organized some virtual live chat dates and times, and they are currently on the screen. August 13th at 6 p.m., I invite you to a live forum wherein you could ask additional questions, and I will continue to answer the reopening at scsd.org questions for you. On August 14th at 10 a.m., you also will have that opportunity in a similar format to do the same with myself. On August 20th, there are 3 sessions that you can attend if you have students in the middle school, elementary school, or high school. Now for the questions that you've asked. At the district level, one question, and I will read them to you in case you're listening to this in the background. If I was to choose the fully remote learning plan for my children, who do I contact? That's a great question, because today, on August 11th, we will be sending to you a survey asking what your choice is, what option you're choosing, a fully remote experience or in-person hybrid learning for your child. There are also other questions about high-speed internet, and your choice will then be directed. If you choose in-person learning, will you need transportation? That's another question we ask. If you're choosing fully remote, will you need our food plan, and will you need food pickup? So those questions are really critical for our planning forward. As you can imagine, transportation takes a lot of planning around these schedules and around the number of students that we can accommodate on a bus. So getting 100% participation is our goal. Is there any scenario where it will be possible for students to all return to school in person full time? That is the goal for all of us, isn't it? We all want our children back. You want to send them to school. We want that sense of normalcy. This has not been easy, and no way, no how did any of us think that we would be talking via remote to our parents, remotely to our parents about opening school in September, but here we are. So that the goal is to have everyone back and have that normal school day for our kids. Will remote learning be on a structured, consistent schedule? I assume that means the fully remote model, and yes, there will be structure and there will be consistency to that schedule. Again, what that looks like will be driven by our survey results and the number of students we need to accommodate for that model. How will teachers take attendance for classes on remote learning days if classes won't be on a live platform such as Google Meet? Is there a way for students to sign in for each class? When students log into their Google Classrooms, attendance can be taken. Teachers will be able to measure and account for student participation through their logging in and for the assignments that they complete. Certainly, they will also have teacher time where they'll be able to connect with their teachers. One thing that the district is looking at very seriously, more information will be coming out, is an application that will align your students' Google Classrooms all in one place. I think parents, you will love this, and students as well. If you had a glimpse at their inbox last year, you'll remember that their inbox was loaded and daily with Google Classroom invites, new information has been posted, new assignments have been posted, a new video has been posted. All of that will be streamed and organized into one location, and you'll be able to see what's due, what's overdue, and if there are any messages from teachers, and you can also message teachers in that location. More to come on that. What type of computer equipment is needed for remote learning? The district is fortunate enough to be able to provide each student with a one-to-one device. We will, if you already have a device or needed one in the spring, you understand that you had either a Chromebook or an iPad. There is some collection that will be going on for cleaning and turn over to a different building. But at this point, we have devices to support all of our students. Again, going back to that survey, it's so critically important that you complete that, because we need to know if you have high-speed internet at your home and how we can help you if you don't. Is the district coordinating siblings' schedules? That's a great question, and certainly we'll try our best to do what we can to coordinate siblings' schedules. We understand the burden this places on families when we don't have students in session fully, and we'll do our best. We can't promise that, however, because we don't know how many kids are coming for in-person instruction for the hybrid model, or how many will be opting for fully remote. But the best we can do, we will do for your family, for our families. Health and safety. How will children receive an education if their teacher contracts the virus? Much like if a teacher has an illness, we would have a substitute teacher. That may be one of our own staff, one of our own certified teachers, or it may be a substitute teacher from the teacher registry, which we have used consistently in the past. Who is responsible for taking the temperatures of students before they come to school? We really encourage our families to take temperatures. We certainly don't want a student arriving to school with a temperature and having to turn them around and send them home and have you come and pick them up. But our district has opted for an in-person screening process at the door. So we hope that there's a temperature check at home and then a temperature check at school, certainly prior to entry of all staff and students. Who is responsible for cleaning the areas where students and staff have been? How often will it be done? Our facility staff is incredible, and they have put a lot of time into cleaning and disinfecting all summer. We have had an extended school year program in our elementary school that has run all summer, and with the coordination of our facilities department, it has gone smashingly well. That will continue, and we will make sure that all high-touch surfaces are cleaned and disinfected multiple times throughout the day, and daily cleanings. In addition, we have deep cleaning days assigned for each of the buildings so that deep cleaning can occur each week. What happens if a student or staff member is subject to quarantine? Certainly, if a student is subject to quarantine, we would provide instruction. If a staff member is subject to quarantine, they would be able to, we would need to make adjustments so that they could teach remotely. However, if a student or staff member is subject to quarantine because they are ill, that would be as if you were keeping a student home for the flu. Certainly we would monitor the amount of work that student could complete being ill. They may have to make the work up, much like a normal day, and the same with a teacher. If a teacher is out because they're ill with the virus and not just on quarantine, we would provide alternate means of instruction for your children. Will I be notified if a child in my child's classroom gets the coronavirus? How soon will I know? You will be notified, and you will be notified as soon as we know. Certainly, our plan reflects the protocol of calling our Department of Health immediately if we have a positive case that we've been notified about. We are working, as I speak, the Department of Health is working on some regional protocols for us. The Saratoga County superintendents, myself included, have requested that we have some consistent direction and protocols so that we as a county can approach any situation if A happens, then we do B. That's very important that we have such just clear-cut protocols in place, and we need the help of the Department of Health to do so. So we're currently working on that right now. The plan is to call them, and we'll have more to share hopefully soon. Will students be sent home for common cold symptoms? As in the past, students weren't sent home for common cold symptoms. They were tended to by our school nurse. Parents were notified if they were sent to the nurse's office, but certainly with the sniffles, we wouldn't be sending students home. If they presented with coronavirus symptoms, that would be different, such as a fever or loss of taste or smell. Are there changes and upgrades being made to the air circulation systems within the buildings? For example, the filter requirements provided to interior malls prior to opening. All filtration has been replaced and upgraded to the ratings that are recommended and are able for our system to be able to accommodate. So that in addition to that, we have a preventative maintenance plan in place that it has increased the review of our filtration system to ensure that proper airflow is happening. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to our elementary school principal, Mrs. Toleman, so she can answer the elementary school questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morris. As Mrs. Morris said, I'm Rebecca Toleman, the elementary school principal, and I'll answer the questions that pertain specifically to the elementary school. The first question, how will AIS be provided within the elementary school? AIS, in addition to all of our related services, will be provided on a push-in model, so the teacher will push into the child's classroom. How do you intend to make younger kids social distance since K in grade 1 will be attending full-time? So we recognize the challenges that this presents, and the first few weeks of school will be spent teaching children and modeling for them what social distancing looks like. In addition, we've added supplemental staff to both grade levels to support this teaching and modeling. Can you put my child on the same schedule as my babysitter's child? So we understand, again, the challenges that the different schedules present for families, and certainly you can send those requests my way. We will do our best to accommodate, but recognizing that the results of the survey, as well as the number of students that are allowed on a bus, will impact this decision. What can I expect on the days my child is home for remote learning instead of in-person learning? So for grades 2 through 5 with the hybrid model, there are some days where they're learning remotely. These days will work as learning labs, so students will receive their instruction in person, and then on remote learning days, they'll work through Google Classroom to work on independent work from the instruction they received the day before. Will there be an opportunity for my child to see their teacher if they choose remote learning? Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have a way to accommodate that. So if students have chosen a fully remote learning experience, there won't be that interaction outside of school or in person with their teacher. Will my child have the same teacher they were assigned at the end of the school year if I choose remote learning? Again, so much of that depends on the results of the survey. Unfortunately, probably not. It will be a certified teacher from Stillwater, but it may not be the classroom teacher they were assigned. Are all the teachers returning to school for on-site teaching? Yep, at this time, all elementary school teachers will be returning for on-site teaching. What will full remote learning look like for my child? Will it look like it did in the spring? And how many hours of work will they have? So it will look significantly different than it did in the spring. And I've put an example up of what it might look like for a K-1 student who have chosen remote learning. So where you see the word synchronous, that means live instruction. So as you can see, children will be expected to be logged in from approximately 8:50 to 12:15 for K-1 with some breaks and lunch built in there. And then the afternoon would be allocated for individual Google Meets with classroom teachers. And then Fridays would be for those individual meets, small group instruction as well. As we go up the grade levels, you'd see an increase in time for some of the subject areas, but no more than 8:50 to approximately 12:45 of in-person instruction live, and then the rest would be individual Google Meets. If I didn't answer any of your questions, please feel free to email me or give me a call, and I'll work through those questions with you. And then you'll have the opportunity on August 20th at 6 p.m. for another conversation with me. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hulihan, middle school principal.
Thank you, Mrs. Toleman. Hello, everyone. If I don't answer your question here, feel free to email us at reopening@scsd.org. Email me or give me a call at the school, and I'd be happy to return that call, return the email with those answers. Will students be required to attend remote classes on the same schedule as they would in-person schooling, or can they do their classes on their own schedule as long as they complete everything? This question wouldn't really apply to sixth grade because sixth graders would take all of their classes in person with the exception of music classes. However, for seventh and eighth grader, the answer kind of depends on the class. I would envision a combination of both live or synchronous instruction as well as asynchronous or recorded lessons. How many hours of work will be expected on the days that are online, i.e. grade level expectations? Again, this question does not really apply to sixth grade. However, taking a look at the virtual days for seventh and eighth graders, we have a maximum 9-period scheduled during the day. They would not take the 4 cores on the virtual days. They also wouldn't have lunch. So there's a maximum of 4 periods at 40 minutes each, or 160 minutes of work online during those days. Keep in mind that they might have study halls, so that could be a little bit less. And then, of course, they would have responsibilities, homework from the core classes. Should a family member change their decision between August 14th and the start of school, will that be accommodated? And so much can change in a month. I do understand and appreciate that perspective. What I would say is that it's really important for me to have the most accurate numbers by the 14th of August so that I can put a plan in place. I have many different options, and that plan would maximize instructional opportunities, particularly for those virtual only students. Am I correct in understanding that none of the remote instruction will be live video instruction between teacher and students? And how will the students be taught new material? I would say that that is not true. Again, I would envision a combination of both live and recorded instruction, whether a student is entirely virtual or partially. Are all of the teachers returning to school for on-site teaching? Yes, at this time, all middle school teachers are scheduled to return. Thank you, and I would now like to turn it over to Dr. Michael Johnson, the high school principal.
Thank you, Mr. Hulihan. Number of questions. Why is there only one designated in-person learning day for the high school students? Lack of instructional space was our major challenge. We've placed English in our library, high school library. We've repurposed our lobby, Lilac lobby, for social studies as a classroom instructional space. We have, for our math, we'll have in our largest art room, and science will be in the science labs. Each of the periods that students come to school, English, social studies, math, and science, will be 80-minute periods. When will students be talking to guidance counselors to determine their course of study? Will classes be assigned to 9th graders without their input? Most of the 10th through 12th graders have met with the counselor and their schedules are set. If they aren't, contact the guidance office. 9th graders, counselors will be following up with 9th grade students in the next few weeks. Well, high school students need to come to school for PE on their days of gym. The only face-to-face instruction is in English, social studies, math, and science. All of our other courses are taught virtually. Will students be required to attend remote classes on the same schedule as they would in-person schooling, or can they do their classes on their own schedule as long as they complete everything? This is probably one of the most important questions that needs to be addressed. Face-to-face classes. So a ninth grader comes to school on, if you choose to face-to-face, will come to school on Mondays. And have English, social studies, math, and science face-to-face instruction. The rest of the week will be virtual. It is absolutely imperative that you follow your in-person schedule. So if you have art third period, that is the time when your art teacher will be connecting with you. Same for any of the other specialists, foreign language, etc. How many hours of work will be expected on the days that are online? You'll have the 40-minute period of instruction, plus I would guess about 20 minutes of additional time. Are all teachers returning to school for on-site teaching? Your English, social studies, math, and science teachers will be on-site for the specific day that they're working with students. Some questions regarding VOTEC. Will VOTEC be open for students? Yes. VOTEC will run on an every other day basis. How will transportation be provided? We are encouraging students, and many students like to prefer to drive. We're working with VOTEC now to make sure that the parking is available to those students, juniors and seniors. And we will provide transportation for those other students who need transportation provided. Now I'm going to turn back to our superintendent of schools, Mrs. Morris, who will talk to you about transportation challenges.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. In regards to transportation, you had some great questions, and again, those survey results will make such a difference for our planning purposes. But the questions that are in the hopper right now, here are your answers to regarding transportation. If my child's pickup and drop-off location will be different from our home, who do I notify? Please call our bus garage, our transportation department, and they will assist you with different pickup and drop-off locations. The phone number is 518-664-5661. Again, it's 518-664-5661. And please feel free, if you don't have that information after this, you can certainly look it up on our website. What if you start with one form of transportation, such as selecting the bus, and then you want to change to driving your student to school? Can you change? Certainly, having a change from using the bus to driving we would be able to accommodate, because it would be one less student on the bus or a family of students off of the bus. Changing, however, from driving to transportation on the bus would only be, we would only be able to accommodate, we believe at this time, halfway through the year at the end of January when the semester ends. So your commitment in your survey to a fully remote experience would go from the start of the school year through January, where you would then be able to adjust differently. That being said, we need those survey results so we know how many students will be on our buses. How will the kids be social distanced on the buses? Well, we are having all of our students and bus drivers and monitors wear face masks on the bus as per the guidance. In addition, during all transit, we have one student per seat, and the seat itself acts as a barrier. So with everyone wearing their masks, and one student per seat, will be able to accommodate 22 students per bus. And again, those survey results are so important so we can create these bus routes that are will best accommodate your schedules. Will pickup and drop-off times and overall transportation time be extended due to bus social distancing? They could be. We are trying to work with schedules at the elementary, middle, and high school. The goal, of course, is to stick within that window. We send postcards to families informing them of their times when the pickup will be. We're not really sure if we're going to be able to adhere as close to that time frame as in the past, due to the changes and due to the unprecedented nature of this type of challenge with transportation. We'll try our best, and I'm very sure that we'll get to a streamlined fashion once we get underway. But certainly a little bit of patience on that, and we would appreciate, because we're unsure of what that looks like. If you did have a change of address, please let our transportation department know so that they can update their records and make sure that if you are choosing for school-based transportation and using the bus, that we can accommodate you on the proper route. Thank you very much, and I'm going to turn things back over to Ms. Carolyn Manzella, who is our Director of Pupil Personnel Services.
Thank you, Superintendent Morris. In reference to special education, at this time, we have two questions. How will IEP and 504 accommodations be met? And if the district transitions to remote learning, how will the district provide related services for students as outlined in their IEPs? The answer to both of these is the same, and that is that we will ensure that all programs and services as outlined on the IEP are provided to all students to the best of our ability and to the greatest extent possible. During this time, it may be necessary to adjust the delivery of programs and services based upon the safety and health protocols that we are required to follow. Please understand that the State Education Department has provided us with great flexibility during this time in how programs, services, and accommodations are provided. We are committed to supporting our students, and we request that if you have any specific concerns or questions about your child, please contact our office directly. You can email me at cmanzella@scsd.org. Thank you, and I will turn it back over to Superintendent Morris to summarize.
Thank you. Before I review the timeline, I just wanted to thank you, our parents, our families, and our community for supporting us in these challenging times. I want to thank this team, this amazing team of administrators. We had a plan, changed the plan again, all with our students and staff in mind. We can't wait to see our kids again. The hallways were very quiet, and it is not the work that we chose to do to be in buildings without children. Certainly all of us started our careers with the idea that we would spend our days with kids, and we can't wait to get back to that. On July 31st, I uploaded our reopening plan and submitted it to the state. You can find that on our website. On August 4th, our district posted an FAQ based on questions we had come into the district. Today's August 11th, we will be sending the survey out to you, our families, and we're requesting that those survey results are returned by Friday. If you have additional questions that your decision hinges upon, please reach out to us so that we can collect 100% of those surveys and know what each child's plan is going to be so we can plan accordingly. Today, this video will be shared with our families. On August 13th, this Thursday, you'll have an opportunity to meet with me virtually. As I said, the survey results are due on August 14th. And we can't wait to see our kiddos on September 14th, which is the first day of school. Your other opportunities for virtual live chats, dates and times, here's that slide again. These will be sent to you, so you'll have them, but you can, we had a couple of opportunities, both in the evening and in the morning, coming up later this week, and then on August 20th with each of your building principals. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have an individual question about your student. Reach out and let us know what that question is if we can assist ahead of time. Thank you so much. Here is your reopening@scsd.org email address if you have additional questions. Have a great day.